Last year, I shared my predictions for the Kamloops real estate market for 2025. And judging by the title of this video, you could probably guess how this is going to go. Some of my predictions definitely held up, and some of them definitely did not. So today, what we're actually going to do is we're going to take a look back and see what happened, why the market moved the way it did, and what we're going to learn from this as we head into 2026. And make sure you stick around to the end because this recap sets the stage perfectly for my 2026 Kamloops real estate predictions, which are coming soon. Before we jump in, if you are thinking about buying or selling real estate in Kamloops, my team and I would love to help. You can find our contact information in the description below. And if you want some honest local market updates like this, make sure you subscribe to the channel. All right, let's start with my prediction number one, interest rates. Last year, my prediction was that we'd see about a 75 basis point cut from the Bank of Canada. And honestly, to be fair, I wasn't completely wrong on this one. Rates definitely did come down, but I definitely underestimated how far they would actually go. By the end of 2025, we actually saw a full 100 basis point cut from the Bank of Canada to our current rate of 2.25. Now, while this is a good sign for interest rates, making lending a little bit cheaper, making your line of credit a little bit cheaper, making your variable rate a little bit cheaper, it's also a little bit of a sign that we are in the middle of a little bit of a weaker economy and a little bit worse job numbers overall than we were at the start of the year. Another thing that really stood out in 2025 is how fixed mortgage rates behaved. The fixed rates definitely did come down more, much like many people did expect, and it definitely helped bring some buyers back into the markets. It gave some people some confidence to finally make that move. Now, the fixed rates did come down about a full point as well near the tail end of the year, but they did start to trend upwards as we finished off the 2025. Now, that being said, as we move towards 2026, we are starting to see the bond yield get a little bit higher. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that rates are about to spike again, but it does suggest the environment moving forward may look a little bit differently what we've seen in the past. And a lot of that I will be breaking down in a lot more detail in my next video for my predictions of 2026. So overall, for my first prediction, I was definitely right on the direction of the rates, but I definitely underestimated the magnitude of the change. All right, let's talk about my second prediction, my prediction for inventory levels of 2025. This one I definitely have to own. Last year, I did predict that inventory would stabilize throughout the year, and in early 2025, that actually looked like that was actually going to happen. In some areas of Kamloops, inventory remained quite stable, and in certain pockets, even very low as we started 2025. The well-priced homes were still selling, and buyer demand was definitely holding up reasonably well. So once spring hit, that definitely changed. The tariffs became the dominant headline. Consumer confidence started dropping because of the tariffs and the little bit of the uncertainty. And that change in sentiment had a huge impact in Kamloops real estate. On top of that, homeowners started to start listing their homes, and fewer buyers felt the urgency to get in on these homes, and overall the sales slowed. So by the end of the year, the inventory in Kamloops actually was up 15% compared to 2024, and that number is actually up 82% compared to the December of 2023. That is a massive swing in such a short period of time. Now, personally, we did notice the power of inventory in real time with the listing of ours last spring in Westsyde. In early spring, there was actually only 13 single-family homes for sale in all of Westsyde, and by May, that actually tripled to almost 40 homes for sale, competing for the same amount of buyers at that same time. So early 2025, we saw 50% of our transactions in multiple offers, which quickly cooled down late spring with the influx of inventory. Now, definitely looking back, the inventory definitely did not stabilize. It expanded, and expanded much faster than we did expect. So for this one, I'm definitely going to take the L. Now let's look at my prediction number 3 for sales activity. And yes, I definitely missed this one as well. My prediction was at the start of the year was that we'd see modest growth for 2025 coming off a slower 2024. And turns out I was definitely wrong on this one as well, as sales in Kamloops definitely finished off down 1.6% for 2025. So that does actually put us in the lowest number of sales that we've seen since the early 2010s. But if you did think this was concerning, it's important to also understand that this was just not a Kamloops issue. The Fraser Valley and Vancouver are both sitting at 23-year lows for their sales in their neighborhoods as well. So this is much broader slowdown across the province, not just Kamloops specifically. Locally in Kamloops, so this shift completely changed the dynamic of the market. For buyers, 2025 became a much stronger buyer's market than we've seen over the past couple of years. There was definitely more inventory, more choice, and far less pressure than we've seen over the past couple of years. Buyers definitely had the ability to negotiate a whole lot more than we've seen. They had a chance to take their time and actually do some proper due diligence instead of just rushing to their decisions. For sellers, this is one of the most competitive environments that we've seen in a very long time. Not only was demand not as strong as it's been, but there was so many more options on the market for buyers to choose from. Homes weren't just competing against the most recent sale anymore, they're competing against everything else that was available on the market. Now, definitely to stand out in 2025, sellers had to be absolutely dialed in. Staging mattered, decluttering mattered, and in some cases, small renovations made a huge difference to determine if your home was actually going to sell or not in 2025. But of course, more than anything else, overall pricing was the most important thing. The homes that were priced correctly to the current market last year were the homes that were sold. The homes that weren't and definitely sat on the market for an extended period of time, the market made it quite clear that their home was not priced accordingly to the current market. Okay, now prediction number 4. This one I'm actually going to take the win on. Overall, my prediction for 2025 is that Kamloops would remain relatively flat with modest improvements, and statistically, that's exactly what happened. By the end of the year, prices were actually up 1.93%, and my prediction was any point between 1 and 2% modest growth for pricing. So now, what's interesting though is that it definitely didn't feel like this throughout the entire year. In many asset classes, it really definitely felt like the prices were dropping, especially near the end of 2025. And as somebody who's a huge person on stats, I definitely don't think that the numbers fully captured how uneven the year was and how things felt on the ground. Now, that being said, the data does show you something that is super important. We didn't see the extreme volatility that we've seen over the past couple of years following the COVID and pandemic times. There was definitely some soft spots with some modest corrections, but no major swings either way. And in many ways, that kind of stability is healthier for the market long term. All right, let's talk about my kind of prediction number 5. I discussed last year that 2025 would be a big year for unforeseen events, something that we couldn't actually predict at the start of the year, and that definitely delivered. The tariffs dominated the headlines throughout most of the year and definitely played the single biggest role in disrupting consumer confidence. When people feel uncertain about the economy, they definitely take a pause, and when they take a pause, the real estate market slows. And you add in a federal election, adjustments to immigration policy, ongoing global conflicts, and 2025 was definitely anything but a normal year. These factors didn't just affect the numbers on a chart, they affected how people felt, and confidence plays a massive role in the housing decisions. So if you look back at my predictions overall, some were definitely close, some were definitely wrong, and one being bang on. And one of the biggest lessons from 2025 is that real estate doesn't move typically on statistics alone. It definitely moves on confidence, emotion, and timing of the market. The buyers who stayed informed and patient found opportunities in 2025, and the sellers who adapted with the market, priced correctly, and understood the market were the people who succeeded at the tail end of the year there. And that brings us to what is next. My Kamloops 2026 real estate predictions video is coming out soon. In this, we're going to break down where I see interest rates, inventory pricing, and opportunities head in 2026. So make sure you keep your eye out for that one coming soon. And as always, if you have any questions about your own situation, make sure you reach out. My team and I are always happy to help. Thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you on the next video. Bye now.